The most common question that I get asked is, how do I make my videos? What's my process for making them, and what programs do I use? So I figured I'd get all of the basics out of the way in this nice short video for all of you wondering. Let's begin. To get it out of the way, here's every program I use and what I use them for. Blender is used for all of the 3D animation you see, and I also use the MC Prep add-on for all of the Minecraft stuff. Krita is used specifically to make the animations for my character's eyes. DaVinci Resolve is used for editing, Audacity is used for voiceover recording and audio editing, OBS is used for screen recording, and Google Docs is used for notes and scripts, with Google Drive there to organize everything. Everything here is completely free to use, and if it's not clear, I also hate Adobe. Moving on, the steps for each video tends to be like this: the ideas stage, notes and research, writing, voiceover, animating, editing, and the thumbnail. The order isn't entirely set in stone, as, for example, sometimes I make the thumbnail super early into the production, while sometimes I do it last minute. Going through each of these, first we have Step 1, the ideas stage. The first step of making a video is deciding what you even want the video to be over. I usually get ideas pretty randomly, whether it's while I'm playing Minecraft, watching YouTube, while trying to sleep, or randomly in the past while at school. Every time I get an idea, regardless of the quality of that idea, I always write it down as soon as I can. I have a Google Doc for video ideas dating back to over 2 years ago with every video idea I've had. Sometimes I'll just write down the title I have in mind, and sometimes I'll write down an entire paragraph of ideas for the video. Writing all of these ideas is super useful for getting inspiration for new ideas, deciding what videos I want to do after the one I'm currently working on, and for any time that I can't think of anything new and just want to use an idea I've had in the past. Step 2, notes and research. This is really just ideas part 2, as with this stage I make a new document and write down literally everything that comes to mind for the video. Entire paragraphs, single sentences, random ideas for how the thumbnail could look and where I want the animation to take place. Anything relating to the video goes here. Stuff like this is especially useful if the video requires a ton of research, like with the achievement video or with the Caves and Cliffs video. And here is where I say, the Minecraft wiki is my best friend, and I owe it so much. Another thing that I use a lot is Google's time search feature, which lets you only see results from and to a certain date, along with the other feature of putting site : followed by a URL to only show results from that specific website. Very useful stuff. One of the most important things done in the notes doc is writing down anything regardless of the quality. Sometimes I'll write down entire sections of the script, and other times I'll just write down something random to use for later when I'm actually writing the video. But the most important thing about this is having no quality standard. If you ever find yourself stuck, start a 5-minute timer and allow yourself to write something bad, because making something bad first is how you make something good later. Step 3, writing. The longest step. This step is the biggest reason why videos take so long. There are so many times when I try to write something down and I can't think of anything, or anything that I do write just doesn't feel like it's working. Which is also the reason why I write multiple drafts of the script for nearly every single video. One thing that I'll do is I'll finish writing a video, but I'll wait until the next day to do the voiceover, as then I can come in reading it with a completely new mindset after sleeping on the script, which really helps with spotting errors or if there's something that I want to add, remove, or change for whatever reason. Sometimes, though, I'll decide to completely start over and write a brand new draft, which can sometimes be very similar to a previous draft, even copying over some text, but being different in some significant way. And other times, it's a completely different video. Minecraft's new versus old music, how Caves and Cliffs lasted 3 years, a Skyblock retrospective, and the history of every Minecraft achievement were all videos that were completely different in the first version of the script. Sometimes my scripts will also have entire sections visually described out in square brackets as their own paragraph for scenes that are mostly visually reliant compared to a point where I'm talking. Example, hey, can I show you something real quick? Just outside. It's my plan for making money super quick. Don't worry, it's legal, probably. So first off, what is this? Where am I? Oh no. Okay, I'll just go this way. If I ever want to describe things visually in a part where I'm talking, or write down how I want a certain line to be said, that's when that's done through highlighting the relevant text and then making a comment. Comments are both visually satisfying with highlights and animation, but are also insanely useful for making sure that the video is made how it's envisioned when written, and nothing gets lost past this point in production. Step 4. Voiceover. This step has me opening both the script and Audacity, testing the sound by saying pop, pop, popsicle, ice, ice, icicle, test, test, testing, 1, 2, 3, into the mic, and then once everything is good, reading out the entire script in my YouTuber voice. No, I don't talk or sound like this in real life. The mic I used is a Shure SM7B, but I've also used an Elgato Wave 1 in past videos. Also, for some reason, I need to stand when recording. I literally move my chair away from my desk and then read the script out then. After finishing recording, somehow the raw recording almost always ends up being about twice as long as the final video. And then I sit there listening back to the entire thing and trimming down the audio to be only the takes that I want, and also to remove any pauses. Also, I make sure to leave a quiet section used for noise reduction. I select a section that's just the humming background noise, go to Effect, Noise Removal and Repair, and then Noise Reduction. Here I click Get Noise Profile. After that, I select the entire audio and then go back to the Noise Reduction and hit OK. Or you can hit Ctrl-R to do the same thing. This helps with removing background noise and just makes everything a lot nicer. There are other effects that you can use, but this is the main one. If you'd like more tips and info on audio recording, I'd highly recommend Wagolo's video giving tips on this. All of these tips can really help, and yes, I know it's an Object Show tips video. Voiceover comes to an end when I export the final audio and put it into DaVinci Resolve, which is where I add a de-hummer and a de-esser. I'll also go through the audio and pick out which sections of the video will be entirely edited and which sections are entirely animated. This is done through having some sort of visual on screen, often done through just having a single changing color. I'll then take all of the animated sections, delete everything else, export what's left, and then undo all that to bring everything back. Step 5. Animation. Animation is its own process. First, I open my folder that's all of my Blender files and make a copy of a template file. I then rename it and then open that. I then import everything that I need into Blender, which includes the voiceover, of which I then need to change the total animation length to match, along with the world used in the video and the other objects seen, like items or individual blocks. The MC Prep add-on, the add-on used for all of the Minecraft stuff, uses a program called Mineways to take Minecraft worlds and convert them to an OBJ file. You can then open them up in your worlds, but don't forget to hit Prep Materials. I won't go over everything with the MC Prep add-on, so if you want to learn more, please check out the Minute Minecraft animation tutorial series by The Duck Cow, the person who made MC Prep. They are awesome. For my own character, they're a slim, simple character which uses a version of my skin without the eyes. The eyes are their own separate plane mesh that's parented onto the face. For the entire animation process, my face remains completely static and unchanging until the very end. After having everything laid out in the right spots to begin the animation, I then begin doing the keyframes. This is where I just make the character's animation only be the key poses that they're supposed to hit at the right times. After all the keyframes have been laid out is when I begin doing the in-betweens. This is the actual animation you begin seeing. I typically animate on 2s, which means that every frame of animation is held for 2 frames rather than 1. And sometimes I'll even hold on to frames for 3 frames instead. Why is this? Well, it looks nice, but also, as the wise Funk once said,
"This frame rate, that's no aesthetic, that's convenience."
Movement always has easing in and out, along with typically being done in arc motions. If you'd like to learn more about animation and what I'm talking about, you can watch Alan Becker's 12 Principles of Animation series. Yes, that Alan Becker. Once I finished with the actual movement and animation part of the Blender animation, that's when I begin focusing on lighting, camera focus, and other things to make it look good. Lighting is sometimes done through HDRIs along with help from Sunlights and Blender, which can really help with making things look nice and a little realistic. The final step of the actual animation is 2D animation. This is done through making a copy of a template Krita file I have. I also have a file that's full of animations that you typically see my eyes do, and what I do is I go through the Blender animation and time out face movements to specific points. I'll randomly pick sections when I'll blink, I'll make sure to have the right face changes at the right time, and also pick whenever shots change to have a sudden face change. For most of this, all I do is I just go over to the file with all of the animations already done and copy and paste the frames into the new file. The eye animation always has the same amount of frames as the actual Blender animation. The eyes and face themselves are just layers of rectangles moved to look like the blocky face you'd expect my face to have. Once I finish the 2D animation, I export the entire thing into a folder, which exports every frame individually, and after that's exported, I go back into Blender, import the frames as a single image sequence plane mesh, and then mesh swap the plane on my face with the new plane that has the animation. Finally, after all of that, I hit export and render out the entire thing in a folder where each frame is rendered out individually. After rendering all of that, I open a video editor file in Blender and slap in the image sequence and then render that as a video. Step 6. Editing. Editing is done in DaVinci Resolve. I organize all of my files into bins, and I also make a ton of use of compound clips, which basically work as being a tiny group of things in their own timeline that can be edited all at the same time as if they were a video or image. When it comes to the images and videos you see with the rounded corners, I select them, open them in the Fusion page, click on this rectangle right here, and then on the right set the width to 1, the height to 1, and the corner radius to 0.25. I also always add a drop shadow, which always has the shadow strength set to 0.75, the drop distance to 0, and the blur to 0.5. The angle doesn't have to be changed since the distance is 0 anyways. Images and footage are moved around using keyframes, which is done by clicking on the diamond on the side to create one, and then moving them around in the keyframe editor, which you can ease the keyframes through here. They recently changed it. It used to look a lot different. Footage tends to come in the form of OBS footage, which has nothing special about it. I just hit record on OBS and record the thing. But if there's ever footage that I need that's not in-game, let's say it's a YouTube video, that's actually downloaded using the website cobalt.tools. This is the place where I download YouTube videos, and I also use this for downloading sound effects from YouTube. And speaking of which, let's talk sounds and music. Let's get the first thing out of the way. If you ever hear a sound effect in my videos, it's typically one of two things. One, Minecraft sounds, which I get through going to minecraft.wiki, right-clicking on a sound, and then hitting download, or it's two, Patatap sounds. Patatap.com. It's a website where you can tap/click or use your keyboard to play sounds. Hit space and the sounds will be different. I go here, click around until I get a sound that I like, and then use it. I get the sounds themselves from Patatap's GitHub page. Often though, in my videos, you'll probably not hear the raw sound, as sometimes I pitch shift it up or down. Sometimes though, I'll need something that isn't found in either of these, so I'll just go to YouTube, search for one, and then download it with Cobalt. Music is just adding it in its own track and then turning it down so you can actually hear me. Just make sure not to make it too quiet so that everyone in the comments thinks that the music isn't even playing in the first place. After adding everything in is when I render the whole thing and upload it to YouTube. Step 7. Thumbnail. I'm not a thumbnail expert, if that wasn't obvious. Thumbnails for me involve making them in Blender, which is very similar to the animation process, just this time with one frame, and then adding effects and text in DaVinci Resolve and then exporting that single frame. It works, it's easy. No, I'm not going to use Photoshop. There is one thumbnail that I want to talk about real quick, the Anvil video thumbnail. That was made in Google Drawings. One thing to keep in mind about all of this is that I've just gone over my process for every video so far. Not only does this constantly change, but my process is already fairly different from how I've described it here. So if you'd like to see more about my video process and more behind the scenes content, along with having your name at the end of the videos like these people, then you can become a member of my Patreon, where you will get weekly updates for videos, exclusive bonus content, and even some more stuff coming in the future. It starts off at $1 a month and really helps with making videos in the future. So check it out if you're interested and able to join. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you very soon for the next video.